the things to keep in mind is that if you're trying to analyze documents with words on them, they need to be in a format that your program can read. And Microsoft Word, for example, puts a lot of like gunk in with your words, right? So that it can say, this is the margin, this is bold, this is italics, right? Or this is the heading, this is the footnote, right? In Microsoft Word, you got a lot of other stuff in there besides just the words. And so typically, when we do text analysis, we often use plain text files. There's another, if you're a programmer, you may have heard of XML, extensible markup. You can also use those, but most of you haven't heard of those. So we're working with plain text files. And usually those are saved as .txt, right? You know, Microsoft Word documents are saved .doc, right? PDFs are .pdf. Plain text files are often saved with that .text ending to designate that they're plain. There's not a lot of other encoding and stuff in them. They're plain, they're just the words. So the first thing I want you to do is to open, if you have a program on your computer, on Windows, it's like Notepad. For Mac people, you probably have a program called TextEdit. Does anybody? So open, if you have TextEdit, I think Macs come with it, and most Windows machines come with something called Notepad. So open those programs, find them on your computer, and open them. If you can't find them, then just look up your neighbor, it's fine. So everybody please do that. And also open your browser. Yeah, we're only going to use the text editor in the browser for like 2 minutes. So this is just an example. I'm just going to showing you an example of how you could create your own corpus of stuff to analyze, right? If you decide, like the group over there when we did Buoyant, decided you wanted to study how different newspapers talk about the Delta Tunnel Water Project, right? And so to create that corpus, what would you have to do to study those? How would you create the files that you would input into Buoyant or to AntConc, right? So go to your favorite news website, and just as an experiment, so why is this not available? No data received, sorry. So you all should go, hopefully you all have internet access. CNN, okay. Oh man, sorry. Well, I may not be able to do it because I can't get PacificNet. Is anybody else having problems with PacificNet? Okay, so go to your browser and go to your favorite news site. Let's see if I can get it now. No, I can't connect it. Yeah, it was, but here we go. Okay. And so I'm going to pick CNN, and maybe I want to do a study about Ronald Reagan and how, oh, this is a video. Yeah, but it's got text. So how does the contemporary generation, what do they think about Ronald Reagan? And you can see there's a lot of stuff on here. There are complicated web scraping tools that you could learn how to use if you want, but if you wanted to create a small corpus, you could just select the page and copy it and paste it. Now, if you look, there's a lot of other stuff in here besides what I want on Ronald Reagan. There's all kinds of stuff about Cleveland and GOP candidates and Syria. And that's stuff I would have to delete. So I would delete all the rest of the stuff, and I could be left with, okay, this is And these are all image headings. And I could delete the extra stuff and just have the section about, I guess this one is about the debate. I thought I was getting Reagan, but I guess it's about the debate. So what I went in and I did on the website was I just selected all, like probably on a Mac it's Command All, right, Command A. I think on a PC it's something like Control or Window A or something. Probably most of you know how to select all. And you can copy the text. Now you can also just select like this if it's short and copy and paste it into a text file like that. Was everybody able to copy and paste? I'm sorry? Yeah. So because anything, we're not going to actually put this through the system. This is just you like practicing making a text file that if you ever want to do this again. But anything that's in that file is going to be put in through Voyant or AntConc or whatever. So then you have to clean your data. So I'm saving this as, you know, Reagan, CNN, 9/15/2015. And I'm saving it as a plain text file. And I'm giving it that .text ending. Okay, so if you want to do this, if you want to create your own corpus, we'll use the corpus that I gave you for today, but if you want to create your own, you need to be sure to save it as just plain text without all the other gunk in it. And take out anything that's not relevant to your research. So if CNN has ads in there, or it has, you know, a bio about the author of the article, you would want to take that out. And this is essentially what was done with the set of texts that you downloaded, those movie reviews. Now somebody probably used like a web scraper tool to grab them rather than copying and pasting hand by hand, you know, one by one. But these text files that we're going to use are basically just taken from the web. They're movie reviews taken from the internet and saved as plain text files instead of as big web files. Everybody with me so far? Any questions? Okay. So once you have your corpus, you're going to, so for this class, yes, now we're going to just use the one you downloaded of the movie reviews. So once you have your corpus, which for us is the movie reviews, we're not going to create a whole one in class. You're going to need to import it or load it into the tool. So before we do that, I just want to introduce to you a couple things on the tool and kind of the sections. So on the left here where it says corpus files, it's hard to see because it's so small. And I can't really increase it, but right up here, right, it says corpus files on the left. Once you load your files, it will list the files. That's pretty straightforward. And then the aspects of the tools, a concordance, which basically collects all the words in your files. A file view, this is like when we were in Voyant, where you could click on a word and it would take you to that text, like where it was in that text. If you want to just read the document, you can do it in file view. There's a word list. We'll just give you the word list of your document, all the different words that are in your corpus. And then we'll talk about the collocates and keywords list later. But the main thing for right now is that your files all come here, and it groups all the words here in the concordance. So the first thing you want to do is to load up your files. So File, and for the purposes of this, we're going to open a directory. Can you see that behind that black? What I'm doing? Hold on, let me bring it down. So that won't help. Open directory. You could also open files if you just want to select particular files, but if you want to do everything in a folder, you would open directory. And now, so everybody follow along, please do that, and go to wherever it is you downloaded those movie reviews. It should be a file that says something like Corpus Files for AntConc Workshop. Movie reviews. Everybody with me? Anybody confused? Yeah. Okay, yeah, so if it was a zip file, open it, yeah. And then did you, is it? I think it's selected the file as a folder. Okay, so the folder that we want, we're gonna look at the negative reviews first. Okay? Select those. And then you should have a list that looks like this. Everybody, is there anybody who does not have a list? And it should say at the bottom, whoops, sorry. It should say at the bottom 200 files processed. Everybody with me? Okay. Then we're also going to add the positive reviews. So we're going to do this whole process again, open directory, and add the positive reviews. Okay? So we should have 400 down here. You just add the positive reviews also. Just repeat the process, but with the positive review directory. So if you need to like clear what you've done and start over, if you click on File, you can clear all tools and files and start over, right? So if you accidentally upload the wrong thing, you can clear it and start over, okay? It's probably not a crisis if you got the wrong group for the purposes of the tutorial. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is just search for keywords and in their context. And so you, down at the bottom, you wanna have words checked, and these little things down here that say level 1, level 2, level 3, 1R, 2R, 3R, that will become clear in a minute. But what that's going to do is it's going to tell you, you search for a word. If you want to look at 1L, it's going to also look at the word to the left. If you say down here 2R, it's going to look 2 words to the right. 1R would be 1 word to the right, and it will show you what words are near your word. And this is basically the way you tell it how many words. You could say, I want to look 3 words, 4 words, 5 words to the right, and only 1 word to the left, or something. Or you can mix it up. But I'm going to set here 1L, here 2, I want that to be 1R. And here 2R. And so that what this thing is going to do is it's going to look at words, and it's going to look at the word that's to the left of it, the word that's to the right of it, and then the second word on the right. that make sense? Well, I did 1L, 1R, 2R. You can do whatever you want, just as long as you understand that the 1 is the number of words, the L is left, the R is right. So let's just look at a random word like the and hit start. And so we'll give you a list of all the words, the hits for the in context. And it tells you it's got like 14,618 hits. So this looks very similar to what you saw in Voyant, right, where you get the word in context. You can look for a slightly more interesting word, like this is a film, so we're going to use the word shot, right? Shot could apply to like the shots in a film. It could apply to somebody being shot. So this will immediately pull up all the references to the word shot. You can see shot is in blue, and then the context surrounds it. Everybody have shot? Okay. So if you hit sort, what happens? You got colors. What are the colors telling you, Ray? Right, so the colors correspond to those settings up here, right? Because you can easily see the word on the left, the first word on the right, the second word on the right. You can also kind of change how, you can change the words down here, the levels down here, 1L, 2R, 1R, 2R, if you want to get, a different set. Like maybe you just want all the words to the left or whatever. And if you just hit sort again, and it will redo the search. So the other way, so right now we're just doing basic search, so just be patient. But I want to show you how you can use wildcards in your search. So let's say you want to look for women, right? You want to look for the word woman or the word woman, right? You'd want to look for either. And you can use a couple different wildcards to do that. One is you could put an asterisk right between the M and the N, or you could tell it or. Woman, and then give a straight line, and woman. This will tell it, look for any word that has any, like 0 to any number of letters between the M and the N. So this will catch both woman and women. This specifically says find either woman or women. So in this case, like it's going to give you the same thing, but if you used man, right, if you did M star N, you might get min or something, or mean, not just man or men. The star gives you any number of letters in between. It's on your handout in case you forget. So let's just look really quick at woman and how that would work. So if I do WOM star or asterisk N, I'm just going to hit start. You should, if you scroll through, see both woman and woman. Yeah, so like here's woman. Whoops, sorry. There's both woman and woman. Okay, so you could search for either. Everybody with me? Okay, so the other option right, if you want to get man, men, but not mean, you can use a question mark as a wild card. And the question mark will just put in one letter in there. So it could actually also find mon or min or mun, but mostly it's going to be man or men. So enter in the M question mark N, and you should get, hit start, you should get a list that includes all the references to both man and men. Does everybody have a list? Yes. Ah, it's coming up with the. Okay. You hit start. It's giving you. All right, so my suggestion would be to go up and why, oh, hold on, mine's still processing. But my suggestion would be, once this is done, I just want to make sure mine's working properly. Go up and you should be able to do this. Mine's still processing because I stupidly put in the. But if you clear tool, don't clear tools and files because if you clear the files, you'll get rid of that. Hit clear tool. And that should clear it out and you can start over. Is anybody else having problems? No, I'm not accusing you of doing anything wrong. I just am checking to see if anybody else is having the same problem. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, and it looks like mine has crashed too. Yeah. Let me just see. Huh? It's just reviews of movies in general, not just Animal House. So lots of movies. Yeah, it's reviews of movies for the past like couple decades. So it's yeah. So yeah, mine is. So I'm gonna have to stop mine too and start over. Sorry, this has never happened before to me, at least. Yours is working? Okay. Yeah, I mean, this is, it's the default for everything is to turn it off and turn it back on again. This is also one of the issues with free software, right? You're at the mercy of the person who created it. And if there are bugs, then you either, if it's open source, you could go fix it yourself if you know how to program, or you have to wait until the person fixes it. So getting back to the issue of access and pay, right? I mean, sometimes stuff you pay for might be work better, but it also is really expensive. So, okay. So one of the things that you can do, let me do my man search again. And I'm going to sort it. As you can look now, how are these things sorted? So this looks like it's 1R, 2R, 3R. How are these things sorted? Anybody see, or if you did a sort on yours, how are they sorted? Is it just random? Is it by where they appear in a file, Luke? Yeah, so it's alphabetically by that first level. So you can see men are, men are, men are, man and, so and comes before R. So this will give you an alphabetic, when you sort, it will give you the alphabetical list of the words that are associated with whatever word you're searching for. I'm going to pull up shot again, just because there are fewer references to shot. So one of the things that you can look at is what some of the frequent combinations of words are. So like here you can see shot at is a common combination. Shot in, these are just basic prepositions. Shot on, so that might not be terribly meaningful. There may be other combinations that might be more meaningful. But because it's ordered alphabetically, you can kind of quickly find the words that are associated with the word you're searching for. If we do a search for, say, qualit, I would say quality, Q-U-A-L-I-T, and then a star, not the Y, but a star. That's even a much shorter list. It's easier to read. You can see the, that you capture both quality the singular and quality the plural, and some of the words that are associated in movie reviews with that term. So what I want you to do is to do a search for woman using the question mark, and we're going to kind of scan through the results and save them. So I'm going to sort so they're alphabetical, and you can clone the results if you hit this button down here so that it will pop out. And then you could compare it to your results for men. So I'm going to clone these results so they pop out in a window. And then I can put the windows side by side. Right, and compare. You can also, if you really want, save the results, although that doesn't usually turn out so well. It doesn't save a lot of the formatting, but you can export and save your results if you want. Okay, so now probably you're thinking, this is interesting, but it would be better if I had like a more aggregated list. Like I have all these man of, and this is really kind of a pain to read through. I want it to be more aggregated. I want to know what words are associated with man, what words are associated with woman. I don't want just a list of results. And the way you do that is what's called collocation. And collocation is basically taking, searching for words and seeing what other words appear in a corpus near those words. So when you're asking the question like we did with Shakespeare, right, how does Shakespeare talk about love? You can pull up a list of all the words that appear near love in Shakespeare. So we'll do that using the collocation tool. Which is here. So I don't know if you can see, but up along the top menu, there's one that says collocate, so click on that. And I'm going to just change mine to woman because I think there are probably fewer hits, so it's easier to find. And then down here, so this is where you enter your term that you're interested in. So I'm interested in how women are discussed in movie reviews. And then here you say, how wide of a net do you want? So it's going to look for all the words within 5 words to the left of woman and all the words within 5 words to the right. And you can change it if you want like the words that are just around woman, like 2 words on either side. You could change it to 2L and 2R. But essentially this is going to pull up in this list of 400 reviews all the words that appear near the word woman or woman. And I'm going to make this a smaller window. I'm changing it to 2 just to make it a little more manageable. It says it needs to create a word list. So I'm going to say yes, okay, create your word list. And now we have a list of all the words that come either 2 to the left, within 2 to the left and within 2 to the right of woman in our movie reviews. So to just explain up here, rank, it's just like the word when it appears, like this is the first one that appears is unsuspecting. Frequency, unsuspecting appears twice in our corpus near the word woman. That's what that means. Unsuspecting appears twice. And it always appears to the left. So that frequency L tells you unsuspecting always appears to the left of woman, not to the right. And this is a statistical measure that we won't worry about right now. We could talk about later. And you can tell it to order it by frequency. So you want to see what's the most frequent word associated with woman in this corpus. Down here at the bottom, sort, click sort by frequency and see what happens. And then you have to click sort. So you can see you get the most frequent word associated with woman at the very top, 61 times the word A. Okay, not that interesting. And then we scroll down. What's the first word that is like semantically meaningful, somewhat interesting? Huh? Young, yep. And then pretty, and then beautiful. Yeah, that's kind of interesting, huh? So I'm going to clone this so I can keep an eye on this. Let's do the same thing for man. Yeah? And see what the most frequent word is with man. And I'm going to sort it by frequency. So, do movie reviews talk about men and women the same way? Or differently? What do you think? Do movie reviews, does our corpus of movie reviews, are women talked about the same way as men? Not really? Why not? Yeah, so there's an real emphasis on beauty with the women. What I noticed with the men is there's an emphasis on age and also race. There's black, and somewhere in here, white comes up soon too. So appearance is important in both, but they're different measures. For women, it's really about beauty. So one of the questions that you can ask, using this tool is, what gets talked about at the same time, and how, how can you collect the vocabulary to try to see how a certain corpus is using language and if certain things are associated with each other. Yeah?
I was going to ask, like, after pulling the results, for some reason my computer, like, hid the main window, and then I was going to ask how to get back to that, but I figured it out.
Okay, excellent. Yay, you figured it out by yourself. Woo! All right. So, okay. So sometimes these do have meaningful patterns, right? So in terms of gender, we can see the movie reviews talk about men and women slightly differently. So you can also compare one corpus to another. So this is an example of we're comparing two things within a corpus, right? How do movie reviewers talk about men? How do movie reviewers talk about women? Like in Shakespeare, when we did this with Voyant, it was like love and death, right? Where does love appear? Where does death appear? You can also ask, how does one slice of your corpus compare to another slice or to the whole? So the example we're going to use today is reviews about Steven Spielberg. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to clear everything out so there's no confusion. So I'm going to go up to AntConc and hit File. I'm going to clear all tools and files because it doesn't take long to reload. And then I'm going to load only the reviews about Steven Spielberg, Spielberg reviews. Everybody with me? Okay, so any questions? Go up to Settings on the top and hit Tool Preferences. Click on the keyword list. You have a target corpus, which is this, and you're going to create a reference corpus, the thing that you're comparing it against. The reference is the thing you're comparing it against. You need to, add the directory, which is, we'll say all reviews, all movie reviews. And then you need to load them into the system by hitting load. And they should be all loaded and listed, and apply. Okay, so let's go to the keyword list. Should be able to just hit start and create a keyword list. Now, this is a slightly different, this list looks different than the list we just saw before, right? Because this is a list just for these Spielberg reviews. And now what it's telling us is what words are particularly unique to this corpus compared to all the reviews. So you'll see there's this criteria here called keyness. There's a keyword, keyness, there's frequency. The word Spielberg appears 95 times in our Steven Spielberg movie reviews, not a surprise. This keyness is a formula, and if you want to look in the help file for AntConc, he tells you where he gets all his formulas. But it's a formula that basically takes this word and says, how special is this word in this corpus compared to the reference? How key is this word in our Spielberg movie reviews compared to all movie reviews? And the most pertinent, key, relevant word to that particular corpus is, not surprisingly, Spielberg. But then we also have Ryan, Amistad, Private, War, Africans, Saving, Schindler. So anybody recognize these words? Why are these words key to the Spielberg reviews compared to all movie reviews? Kyle?
Because of the titles of movies?
Yeah. So the titles of his movies or characters in the movie, like Schindler is both a title and a character. These are words that are particularly unique to this corpus. So this is going to give you a list of words that are particularly unique to Spielberg movie reviews compared to all movie reviews. So if you were to compare Hamlet to all of Shakespeare, right, you could see what words happen more often in Hamlet than in Shakespeare as a whole. So some of the questions that you can ask, there's more that we could do, but we need to stop. So some of the questions that you can ask are, right, if we think about the movie review genre, you can ask, how are, what's the language used about women in positive movie reviews compared to negative movie reviews? What's the language about men used in positive movie reviews versus negative movie reviews? You could compare two sets of reviews. You could compare movie reviews to music reviews and see if the language is used differently in movie reviews than it's used in music reviews. For our data sets that we've used before, right, so the example being Hamlet and Shakespeare, how, your question that you guys came out of, how is love or death discussed in Shakespeare, right? When you guys were exploring death, you were frustrated with Royan because basically all you could do was see when death was most prominently discussed, right? It was harder to figure out anything more about death in Shakespeare. But here, you can collect all the words that are around the word death, right? And to see how does Shakespeare talk about death. There are ways that this kind of stuff is used to also ask questions about authorship. We're not going to do that because it's a little more complicated. But people use the same vocabulary most of their lives. They don't really change their vocabulary. So you could compare a book, a letter by somebody, you're not sure if it's really by them or not, or maybe they had their brother write it or something, and compare it to known things written by that person. And see, is the vocabulary really, really radically different? Is this keyness score super high on a lot of words? If it's super high, maybe they didn't, on a lot of the vocabulary, maybe they didn't write it. So you can ask questions about authorship, but you can also compare and ask questions about style and thematic questions. Everybody with me? Okay. So given how things went, I may modify your homework. Hold on just one sec. Let me stop